We've been reflecting on what happened 10 years ago in Scotland, but I want to take you back 35 years ago, right here in Freedom Square, with this very man, Tommy Sheridan, and I'm talking about the poll tax. Something else that the Tories brought in, and what were we in Scotland? The guinea pigs. Do you remember? We were the guinea pigs. Well, I'm fed up of being the guinea pig. I'm fed up of our resources being stolen. But it's getting worse now in 2024. If you thought the poll tax was bad, what is happening in Scotland right now by the Tories and now Labour is the biggest scandal that Scotland has ever seen. It is the most damning thing that Scotland and you and your families will ever see, and that's free ports and special economic zones. We've got two, what they call free ports, Cromarty Firth and the Firth of Forth. We've got 18 special economic zones, one of them right here where you're standing in Glasgow, taking up from East Renfrewshire right through to West Dunbartonshire. We've got 18 of them coming our way. They're basically turning Scotland into one huge, big tax haven for the corporates to take over not only our land, but our councils and our communities. Scotland is not for sale. Glasgow, I need you to let Westminster and our Scottish Government that Scotland's not for sale. So I want to hear you tell them, Scotland, not for sale. So we've got two free ports. There's nothing free about them. It's costing the public purse, you the taxpayer, £1.5 billion. Going into privatisation, these are privately owned. They're not publicly owned, they're privately owned. They keep telling us that they're the same as the free ports in the EU. No, they're not. The EU have free ports. Yes, they do. But they're publicly owned. But the EU are already getting rid of 90% of the free ports because they're not creating the jobs. They're not doing the prosperity economically that they promised. They're getting rid of them. Now, they also call them green free ports. There's nothing green about them. We're getting gaslit. So, when it comes to the green, they are self-governing. We do not know anything that is happening within these free ports, what they're doing. If anybody knows anything about Teesside and what's happening in Teesside, I would get really, really worried about what's happening within the free ports regarding environment. Sorry? We've got two free ports in Scotland. They're already live. They're already going. Now, the Cromarty Firth and the Firth of Forth, the leases are 25 years. 25 years that they can do whatever they want on our land without anybody say so. They get 10 years business tax relief, no national insurance payments to their employers. Because they're self-governing, they do not have to abide by the law of the land that they sit on. So workers' rights, employment rights, environmental rights, they're out the window. The employers aren't even allowed to have union representation. But we, the Salvo Free Ports, have been talking to many unions, RMT, Unison, Unite, STUC, and they're all now starting to get involved and starting to speak out. They're totally against free ports. We need to tell our elected representatives that we are not will not have the free ports because we are not going to get any benefit from it. I want you to go to the Salvo stall, get as much information as you possibly can. There's too much for me to talk about today. But one thing I will say to you is that they are making the economical case for Scotland being an independent country in its own right even harder than what it was in 2014, because we are not going to get the benefit for anything that's happening within these free ports. It is profit before people, it's profit before you, and it's profit before your families and your standard of living. Scotland, I'm not willing to let that happen, are you? So I want you all to get involved in the Free Ports campaign. We are willing to come to any of your yes groups, any of your organisations, any group that you're in. We are more than willing to come and speak to you, hold public meetings. We've held 8 public meetings around the country. And we've had a couple of councillors came along who do not even know what's happening on their own doorsteps because it's all getting done behind closed doors. It's not in the media. Our elected representatives are not saying anything. And I'll ask one question. If free ports and special economic zones is this pot of gold at the end of the rainbow for Scotland and the people of Scotland, why does nobody know about it? Because if it was going to bring us economic prosperity, they would have it plastered everywhere. But it's silence, the silence is deafening. So please get in contact with the Salvo Freeport team. Get involved. We need to make this bigger than what Tommy Sheridan done at the poll tax 35 years ago. Get involved. But I like to end on a positive. So yes, I am the leader of ISP, but I'm very glad that I've been working with Eva Comrie and Alan Petrie from Indy for Indy. We've got the 2026 elections coming, and we really need to stand together. But there's one thing we need to work out. We, the people of Scotland, are sovereign. We do not have a monarch in Scotland. ISP is the only Scottish political party that's ever stood on abstention, and we need to do that in Holyrood as well. So today we are launching, myself and the Indy for Indy candidates that are coming up. We are launching a campaign today. We've written 2 letters, one to the House of Commons and one to the presiding officer. Northern Ireland do not swear an oath to any monarch in Stormont. Northern Ireland's elected representatives only swear an oath to the people of Northern Ireland. That's what we should be doing here in Scotland. So right after today, please look up social media. Look at the letters that we have, we're going to be publishing on social media. Share them, even copy them and send them to your elected representatives. But in 2026, please vote carefully for only the people that are going to swear an oath to you and your families, not to a foreign monarch. Thank you very much, Scotland.